guys. Today we're going to read another chapter from one of my favorite books. Proust was a neuroscientist. Okay, it's chapter 8. Virginia Woolf, The Emergent Self. Psychology which explains everything, explains nothing. Marianne Moore. In 1920, after writing 2 novels with a conventional Victorian narrator, the kind that, like an omniscient God, views everything from above, Virginia Woolf announced in her diary, "I have finally arrived at some idea of a new form for a new novel." Her form would follow the flow of our consciousness, tracing the flight of the mind as it unfolded in time. Only thoughts and feelings, Woolf wrote to Catherine Mansfield, no cups and tables. This modernist style was a radical shift in perspective. The eminent novelists of her time, Mr. Wells, Mr. Bennett, and Miss Galsworthy, ignored the mind's interiors. They have looked, Woolf wrote, at factories, at utopias, even at the decoration and upholstery of the carriage, but never at life, never at human nature. Woolf wanted to invert this hierarchy, examine for a moment an ordinary mind on an ordinary day, she wrote in her essay, Modern Fiction. It is not the task of the novelist to convey this varying, this unknown, this uncircumscribed spirit which, whatever aberration or complexity it may display, with as little mixture of the alien and external as possible. But the mind is not an easy thing to express. When Woolf looked inside herself, what she found was a consciousness that never stood still. Her thoughts flowed in a turbulent current, and every moment ushered in a new wave of sensations. Unlike the old-fashioned novelists, who treated the mind as a static thing, Woolf described the mind as neither solid nor certain. Instead, it was very erratic, very undependable. Now to be found in a dusty road, now in a scrap of newspaper in the street, now in a daffodil in the sun. At any given moment, she seemed to be scattered in a million little pieces. Her brain was barely bound together, and yet it was bound together. Her mind was made of fragments, but it never came undone. She knew that something kept us from disintegrating, at least most of the time. I pressed to my center, Woolf wrote in her diary, and there is something there. Woolf's art searched for whatever held us together. What she found was the self, the essential thing. Although the brain is just a loom of electric neurons, Woolf realized that the self makes us whole. It's the fragile source of our identity, the author of our consciousness. If the self didn't exist, then we wouldn't exist. One must have a whole in one's mind, Woolf said. Fragments are undoable. But if the mind is so evanescent, then how does the self arise? Why do we feel like more than just a collection of disconnected thoughts? Woolf's revelation was that we emerge from our own fleeting interpretations of the world. Whenever we sense something, we naturally invent a subject for our sensation, a perceiver for our perception. The self is simply the subject. It is a story we tell ourselves about our experience. Woolf wrote in her unfinished memoir, "We are the words, we are the music, we are the thing itself." At the time, this was a surreal idea. Scientists were busy embracing the power of materialism. Anatomy promised to explain everything. As James Joyce noted, the modern spirit is vivisective. The self was just another trick of matter, which time and experiments would discover, but Woolf knew that the self was too profound to be found. In her modernist novels, she wanted to expose our ineffability, to show us that we are, like a butterfly's wing, clamped together with bolts of iron. The mind is a machine, and the self is a ghost. It is what cannot be seen.